Right. Hello and welcome everyone. We're going to get started here pretty shortly, but we're just going to give it a minute for everyone to start joining. I have Tim here with me today. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Where are you tuning in from today, Tim?
I'm in New York, but I'm in, I guess call it Western New York. I was just corrected on that recently, but Rochester, so it's like an hour from Buffalo.
Cool. Nice. Just to review today's session, what we'll be covering. I'm going to hand it off to Tim here shortly, but in the agenda, we're first going to be kind of covering the paid social landscape and why use LinkedIn ads for B2B. We'll be going through navigating LinkedIn Campaign Manager and the different formats. We'll go through ad account structure, audience targeting, and different options there. We'll cover the do's and don'ts of LinkedIn ads, and then metrics to evaluate. We'll cover optimization and examples you should steal before we get to just closing remarks, and then save some time for Q&A. So tons to cover. It's going to be very in-depth, great content for getting started with LinkedIn ads. So excited to get into it. So without further ado, I'll introduce Tim here. Tim is an experienced performance and growth marketer. He's been focused on driving revenue and pipeline through ABM efforts and LinkedIn ads for more than 10 years. He's also the founder and VP of marketing at B2B Riz, which is an ABM and LinkedIn ads consulting firm for B2B SaaS companies. And Tim has worked with marketing teams at Chili Piper, Path Factory, User Gems, Marketer Hire, and many more. So lots of experience here, and we're super excited to have you, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah. Cool. Well, without further ado, I see a lot of people have joined, so I think we can kick things off. And Tim, I'll hand it over to you if you want to skip to the why LinkedIn ads slide here.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's start with the LinkedIn ads. All right, perfect. Thanks all for coming, first off, and thanks for the intro here. First off, I want to start with why LinkedIn ads. We're all here. We all know the title is LinkedIn ads. But LinkedIn ads is a little different in the sense of it's got the best targeting for B2B, and it's not even close by far. If you think about like Meta, Reddit, I mean, you can think of any other social platform. There's nothing that has the firmographics of LinkedIn ads like LinkedIn ads does. There's no other place where you can target a specific company, a specific title, down to you can add in revenue, you can add in industries, company sizes, you can exclude certain people. It's super, super targeted. And that's why LinkedIn ads is so appealing to many companies, especially in the B2B space. It also has business focused mindset. So if you go on Meta, you're going there to kind of check out your ex-wife or husband, or what your kids are doing, your grandkids, whatever that is. If you think about LinkedIn ads, it's more of a business focused kind of mindset in the sense of you're going there to look for your new hire. You're going there to learn about, I scroll through my feed and I see LTV, CAC, and all these other acronyms. There's no other place where you're going to see that consistently, like LinkedIn ads. So there's just a different mindset there. So when you have ads in the platform, there's just going to be a different kind of, it's just going to perform different than if on other platforms. And then there's a lot of formats and functionality. LinkedIn actually offers a lot. LinkedIn ads, from image ads to video ads, carousel to text and spotlights. I mean, I'll take you through all those in these slides here, but there is just a lot of options in terms of how to tell your story to get your product, your service in front of the right buyers in many different ways. But I don't want to stray away from it's got the best targeting for B2B. So we're going to go through everything here in these slides here. But I want to start off with, because when you create an ad account, you put your billing in, all that. The first thing you're going to see is the campaign groups and campaigns. And I'll take you through those, the objectives and the ad formats. 4 different huge things that are going to help you kind of set up the campaign. And also some do's and don'ts. So first off, when you go in there, you're going to see campaign groups is going to be the first tab, then campaigns, and then ads. The first thing, you're already going to have a campaign group. It's a brand new ad account. And campaign groups are essentially, it's like a folder of campaigns. And the campaigns are where you're going to have like the different image or the video ads or the different kind of objective kind of campaigns. But campaign groups are essentially folders. In my opinion, I like to keep everything under one folder unless you have maybe different products or different regions where you need to see reporting very specifically at a high level, because you'll see within each campaign group the reporting at a high level. But outside of that, I just think it's kind of a mess to have different campaign groups based off of only image ads or video or just a certain objective. But once you create an ad campaign group, the first thing LinkedIn is going to do is tell you it's going to have group objective on. Group objective essentially buckets that campaign group into a certain objective, like awareness or like brand awareness or website visits or website conversions. In my opinion, I do not see a reason to do this. I think it makes no sense. I think a campaign group should have multiple different kind of objectives. So the first thing I would do when you're creating a campaign group, after you put the name in, is just turn that off. I don't think there's a value to it. There might be some very weird use cases, but I just don't see the value in it. And I don't think many should. And then when you create a new campaign, so you got the campaign group, and within the campaign group, you're going to create a campaign. If nowadays when you create a campaign, there's this thing called Accelerate Beta. It's going to be the first thing selected from LinkedIn. Don't use it. It's essentially giving LinkedIn more control using their AI and their algorithm to create a campaign easily for you. But this is why you're at this one-on-one course. You don't need to let LinkedIn do that. LinkedIn's algorithm is just not that good. It's just not. I would not use this yet. In theory, it could be great, but way down the road, and some of us will tell you it's okay to use it, but right now, don't use it. You're just gonna waste a lot of money on people that you don't want to talk to. So make sure to select this classic down here, and then click next. And then what you're gonna see is LinkedIn Ads objective. So the objective is essentially it's the objective of your campaign. There's a lot of options here. You have your brand awareness, website visits. So essentially, optimizing towards getting people to the landing page or the website. Lead generation. So that's essentially lead gen forms only. So the LinkedIn lead gen forms that are native within the feed there. Engagement, in my opinion, unless you're trying to grow the company page, which I don't think a lot of people should be doing when they're first starting off LinkedIn ads, I wouldn't use that. Talent leads and even job applicants down the bottom right here. That's more on the it's more on the hiring side. So like if you're looking for hires for your company, and that's if you want to scale, you're trying to scale. To be honest, I don't know much about those, but if you're running LinkedIn ads for new business, I wouldn't even worry about those. Then you have video views under engagement here. That's, as you can imagine, it's only for video ads, and that's just essentially going to optimize towards getting as many views for your video. And you have messaging at the bottom here. This is going to be your conversation ads, your in-mail ads. So it's going to be message ads only, and then website conversions over here. Website conversions is essentially going to optimize towards the conversion action that you tell the LinkedIn campaign to do. So maybe that's a lead, maybe that's a demo, maybe that is even further in the funnel metrics if you have that set up. The one note I would put there is you're going to need a lot of conversion data. It's hard to say, how many conversions you need within a certain time frame, but it's a good rule of thumb, maybe like 15 a month. Like you need a lot of conversion data for this to actually work, or LinkedIn is just going to spend a lot of your money. So two of the best places to start, and if I had to choose one, it would be website visits as the objective. And then you're also going to select your ad format. So again, there's a lot of options here. If I had to distill it down for anyone that's starting out, or even if you're just trying to make some changes here, the two ad formats you're going to want to use the most are going to be single image and the video ads. Single image, it's basically just the image ad, usually like a square image. And then the video is obviously going to be a video. To be honest, like most of the people should just start with the image ad, because it's going to be easier to create the image ad rather than the video ad. But there's also a lot of other options here. You got your carousel image, ads. So it's like, uploading 3 or 4, maybe even 5 ads, and you can tell a story in a sequential way where people can actually scroll through the images in the ad. Text and spotlight. So if you're on your desktop of LinkedIn, it's going to be on the top right there. It's going to be like the text only kind of little box there that has like the company logo, or the spotlight one that usually populates your face, and then the company logo, and then some text up above it and under it. Those are desktop only, and there's some use cases for there, but again, most people are going to want to start with single image and then the video ads. And I've tested a lot of different ad types. Single image typically is going to be your best performer anyway. Document ads, kind of similar to carousel, but you're uploading a PDF, great for like document downloads. So like a PDF download, but you can also scroll through it within the feed. Conversation, that's going to be your conversation ads. You've probably seen those message ads. They're going to be like these, it has like the multiple buttons that you can add there, and it's kind of takes you through a workflow there. Click the button and it takes you to a different message. And then event ads, essentially trying to promote your LinkedIn event, and then follower ads, which I don't see unless you, again, the company page mentioned earlier. If you're trying to draw the followers, that's really the only use case for that. But typically, image and video are going to be a starting point. And then once you have all those kind of big parts sorted out, then you're going to go into your audience targeting. So there's the first thing you're going to see is the geography and language. You can select a lot of different things for the geography. You can do states, you can do towns. You can't do zip codes, but you can do towns, you can do cities, you can do continents, you can do specific regions. But one thing to note here is there's going to be 2 options within the location: recent or permanent location, or permanent location. For 99% of you, you're going to want to use permanent location. The recent or permanent is essentially, all right, we're targeting the United States, but if you can't work with companies in Europe, but someone travels from Europe to the United States, they could show up in your targeting because they recently visited the location that you're targeting. And I actually looked this up recently. It actually counts it as recent as up to like 6 months. So you're just going to, if you can't work with companies outside of the location that you're targeting, or don't want to waste that money, definitely select permanent location. And then you have your company level. So after the geography, you're going to have your company level kind of targeting, and then we're going to the contact level. But on the company level, you have, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but you're typically going to select industries and company size. So there's a lot of industries you can target within LinkedIn. Anything and everything you can think of are in there. I will say they're not perfect. If you think about it, a company, even when I started my company page or created my company page this year, I was able to select the industry I'm in. So they're not perfect. They have some flaws, but that's typically one of the better ways to add in the targeting on top of company size. Make sure to do and, not or. I'll talk about that in a second. But the company size, there's obviously a lot of options there too. It's all bucketed. So for the most part, you should be fine, unless, sometimes I can only work with companies that are 100+ employees. That's where you need to maybe use a company list, because the bucket there of employee sizes are 50 to 1 to 200, but you can target anywhere from 1 employee up to 10,000+ employees. And then, like I mentioned, if you maybe say you can only work with companies that are 100+ employees, this is where you'd want to use a company list. I think, in my opinion, there's also a lot of reason to use a company list rather than the industry targeting, just because there's a lot of flaws in it. But you can also, for the company level, you can upload a company list of accounts that you want to target. This is obviously an ABM approach, but you can also use it more scalable than that. It doesn't have to be just like the top 100 enterprise accounts. But you can also upload company lists and use that as your targeting instead of like the industry targeting. And you can even layer on the company size as well if you want, if the company list isn't perfect. A couple notes on that. You can also upload contact lists, which will go into like the contact level targeting in a second. But there's it's a strong match rate typically for company lists, about 90% match rate. But if you want to upload contact lists, so that's the actual person using like a data provider or something like that, the match rates there are a little bit lower, well, a lot lower at 30 to 40%. So, there's obviously trade-offs there, but you can use the contact list if you want to be very targeted, but just know it's going to be a smaller audience. One thing on this company list I want to kind of mention here. So, like I mentioned, the industries are not perfect. If you're targeting software companies, one of the big industries to use in that is software development right here. Within software development, there's a lot of great software companies, a lot of good ones. There's also a lot of software development agencies. And so when you target an industry, you target industries within LinkedIn ads, you're going to have a mix of very good companies. You're also going to have a mix of companies you can't work with. So there's obviously trade-offs there. You obviously, if you're uploading an account list or a company list, you're also going to be missing out on companies that are not, that you could work with, that just aren't in the company list because they're never perfect. So there's obviously trade-offs, but if you can figure out how to create a really strong company list or a TAM, total addressable market list, there's obviously a lot of value in that, just because the industry targeting has its flaws. So once you have the company side down, so you got your industries, you got your company size, you got the company list up, then you want to use the audience targeting. So there's a lot of options here. I'll take you in a second. There's a lot of options. You use interest in trades, groups, things like that too. But two of the biggest ones that you want to use are job titles or seniority and function. Job titles, so what it is, targeting exact job titles. Things to know about that are they are not exact. If you target a vice president of marketing, it's going to also include things like senior vice president of marketing or global vice president of marketing, which are great. But it's also going to include, director of marketing. There's going to be a percent of titles that are not exactly vice president of marketing. So that's where adding the exclusions comes in. But job titles is a good way to start for most companies. The other way is seniority and function. So function is like the department. So in this example, marketing department, and seniorities is going to be the kind of level. So manager, senior, director, VP, CXOs, right? And you can also go down to entry level. There's a lot of different options too. The difference here is job titles typically going to be a smaller audience. And so this cost per clicks and CPMs might go up, but it's going to be more targeted as long as you add in, the additional exclusions that you need. And I'll show you how to do that with the demographic reports later in the slides. But job titles is a good way to start. Again, they're not perfect. And there's a lot of titles that you can't specifically target. And just as an example, if you want to talk to only ABM, account-based marketing titles, you cannot select that in LinkedIn ads. They'll show up under, marketing director, director of ABM, but you can't specifically target those. And so there is some areas where it's not perfect for that. But with seniority and function, especially if you're targeting the marketing department, there's going to be design titles and event marketers. And if you don't want to talk to those people, either add an exclusion or just understand there's going to be some people in that are not going to be ideal for what you're trying to do. So there's trade-offs there. I typically say to start with job titles, but there's obviously just use cases for both here. And at the contact level, there is a number of other options you can either layer on top of those audience of the job titles or seniority and functions, or use. And there's even use cases where it makes a lot of sense. So interest and traits. So you could actually target based off of interest in a product or service. Like these are just some examples down here. They're interested in sales software, CMS, content creation software. I am not the biggest fan of these. I think it's good to test, but actually, if you scroll through LinkedIn and you see an ad, you can click there's three dots on the top right of the ad. If you click that, where you can like block the ad if you want, but there's also why am I seeing this ad? And for some of them, you can actually see it'll say because you're interested in X, Y, or Z. The amount of ones I show up for that are like beauty software, or not beauty software, just beauty in general, or cybersecurity or other, interests that I just am not actually interested in it's kind of scary. So I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of interest in traits targeting. There's use cases for it, but it's something that you'd want to test with a small budget first. There's also groups. You can target specific groups on LinkedIn. I wouldn't say LinkedIn. I don't think I've ever joined a group on LinkedIn, or if I have, I don't even know about it. So I'm not sure that they are the best things to do. Again, there's probably some industries where this makes sense, but you can target specific LinkedIn groups. But a lot of people are active in Meta ones. I wouldn't say they are as active on LinkedIn ones. But there's definitely some unique areas where that would make sense. Another one's skills. So you can actually target based off of skills of a person. What they put in their profile. And so, if they're trying to find a job, especially early in their career, they're going to add all these skills based off of their what they're trying to do, just so they can be discoverable or whatever that is for their profile. You can actually target those skills. I've seen some good use cases for this. One example is where I was working with a company where they were trying to target people that were in charge of email marketing at their company. And you can target the job title email marketing. That was a job title, but there's also a lot of companies that don't have a specific email marketer title at their company because they're just not big enough or it's not a priority. And so we would target the more general titles like a director of marketing, head of marketing, things like that. And what would happen is the people they were talking to was kind of half and half, people that were actually in charge of email marketing and people that were not. And so what we ended up adding was the skills function, or the skills of email marketing and other kind of softwares like MailChimp or something that was related to it. And we ended up seeing the quality actually increase because of that. So there's definitely use cases for skills. But I wouldn't say it's like they're not perfect, because even on my profile, I think I have SEO on there and I know nothing about SEO. So I think I just put it on there when I was trying to find a job, and I just want to be more broad, I guess. So they're not perfect, but there's probably some use cases there. You also have education. Education is, as it is, the education of, bachelor's or nothing, or, master's. I worked with a company where they're trying to do an MBA, market an MBA program. That education made a lot of sense. Again, it's a use case. I wouldn't say it's applicable for a lot of companies. Years of experience, you can actually target from 1+ years experience to 12+ years experience. This is good to add in quality to an extent. Years of experience goes off of the person's profile's years of experience, not their actual title now, but what they've done based off of what they have on their profile. So I personally worked at an amusement park when I was a teenager. That was my high school job. It was great. I was a not handyman. I was the garbage man. But if I had that on my profile, my years of experience would technically be like 23 years. No, that's not the right math. 17 years. But I don't have 17 years of experience in marketing. I have 10 years or whatever it is, 11 years. So it's not perfect, but there is some use cases where it might make sense. And age and gender, I don't see why I do on these that much. Age is, again, there's kind of buckets, but I think they also go off of your profile and make some assumptions on what you have listed. So I wouldn't say those are top things to use, but they are options. But again, everything I would say you need is usually going to be in the job titles or seniority function. And everything we kind of went through, right? Like the LinkedIn ad format, like the company level, the contact level, all that information. When you're creating the campaign, on the top right is going to be this thing called forecasted results. And that's going to obviously give you your target audience size here. As you can see, this one's just 4,200. It's just an example. When you're creating it, it's a good way to gut check the audience size and make sure you're on the right track. So obviously you're going to be looking at like, what is the audience size? And that'll give you a good kind of indicator if you're on the right path or not, or if you made a mistake. If it's way too big, maybe you made a mistake in the and versus or something like that. You can also look at segment breakdown. So you can actually select, a breakdown of functions, seniority, years of experience, company size, industries, And you'll see over here, if I have company size, so whatever I'm targeting, it's going to show me a breakdown of the top 5 here, the employees in the percent here. So in this audience, this very specific audience, most of it is under 10,000 plus employees, and then it kind of goes down from there. If I'm only want to target, let's say 1,000 plus employees in this, I know I should exclude these 2 down here because they're showing up in the segment breakdown. So you know they're in this audience right now. So you can actually exclude those employee sizes, and that will actually update the audience size, and you can get, again, a good gut check. And if you're wondering, so let's just say in this audience, I targeted only the employee size 1,000 and 10,000 plus employees. The reason that would show is because people have 2 or 3, 2 plus profiles on their company. This is actually one of my biggest qualms with LinkedIn ads ever. If someone like myself has multiple current profiles or current jobs, so I am, the founder of B2B Riz. It was a one-person employee company. I'm also an advisor at a couple of companies. LinkedIn will combine my title with the advisor company of 200 plus employees. And it will say that I am the founder of a 200 plus employee company. I hate that they do this, but it is what can happen sometimes. And that's why you might see some kind of discrepancies here in the employee sizes, even if you're targeting only these top 3 here. And so here's a few do's and don'ts I want to make sure everyone knows here when you're creating the campaign. And versus or, I kind of mentioned this earlier. This is a small but very deadly mistake when you're creating it. So let's just say you did the industries, and what you want to do is click narrow. So basically industries and company size, like I showed up here. If you don't do that, if you accidentally click industries or company size, your audience size is going to be massive. It's going to be wildly different than industries and you'd be surprised how many ad accounts actually do this by accident. A lot of people have the or, and it just widens your your targeting a lot. As another example, this job seniority function and seniority. This is the and here, right? This could make an audience size of 10,000 people. If you put the or, this could be 100,000 people because it's function, anyone in marketing, and the seniorities, anyone in here. So you're going to have finance, you're going to have engineering. The or is going to be huge. And then as you're also creating these campaigns, there's 2 things that will be check marked in green here: audience expansion and LinkedIn Audience Network. LinkedIn is sneaky in this way, in that if you create a new campaign, they will automatically be checked. If you duplicate a campaign that has them unchecked, they will be checked. Do not let these be checked. Uncheck them immediately as soon as you see them. Audience expansion is exactly what it sounds like. It expands your audience. So if you have a targeted audience, it's going to expand. It's going to basically make a lookalike audience based off of what you have listed, and expand that audience. It's not Facebook's lookalike audiences are pretty good. LinkedIn's are not. If you expand the audience expansion, you will see a lot of companies, job titles, people you do not want to talk to. You will also see the cost per clicks and CPMs, so cost per 1,000 impressions, go down. That's because you're getting in front of people you don't want to talk to, or anyone wants to talk to, hence the low cost per clicks and CPMs. Make sure to uncheck it. LinkedIn Audience Network, same thing. LinkedIn Audience Network, or LAN, is essentially showing your ad as a display ad on third-party websites. So whatever LinkedIn has access to, like Microsoft and Yahoo and whatever, all the other third-party websites they have access to, it's going to show your ad as, it's going to show you, is that possible, Scott, to move my face up? No? Okay. You can't really, there's not much you can't see there. Oh, hey, that's not bad. But yeah, still unchecked LinkedIn Audience Network. It's showing display ads on third-party websites. The small fine print here also is it also expands your audience a little bit. I don't know why they do that, but it expands your audience to titles and companies you don't want to talk to, similar to audience expansion. But also, if you do this, you will see, which is where it gets scary, is you will see cost per clicks be 20x, 15x lower than without it. You will also see the cost per 1,000 impressions be 20x, 15x lower than without it. So your numbers will look great from those standpoints, but it's just because it's showing your ads in places no one really cares, or are they really seeing it is the better question. And if you accidentally run it together, you can actually see a breakdown of, all right, how much of my money has gone towards LinkedIn Audience Network versus the actual LinkedIn newsfeed. And they show like 97 to 99% on the LinkedIn Audience Network. It's so silly. Just uncheck it. There's probably like 2% of people that should be using it, and those people have unlimited budget or have to show a ton of impressions and clicks to some boss that cares about those more than business metrics. Those are the only reasons to kind of use it. Most of the reasons to use it. There's probably another small little percentage of why you should use it. I know people have some reasons to use it, but I don't think it's a huge benefit, in my opinion. I think there's still a lot of work for most of us in the newsfeed with different formats. So, LAN, audience expansion, uncheck those. Actually, anything that has the green check mark in LinkedIn, now I think about it, you should uncheck it in LinkedIn ads. So right now I'm going to talk about retargeting. This obviously kind of seems like it's a weird place in this, but it's another option for like the targeting here. And in my opinion, everyone should have retargeting as their in any LinkedIn ad strategy. It should 100% be in there because it's low-hanging fruit. It's warmer audiences essentially, and there's a lot of options. So I mean, a lot of options. You can target based off of your company page. This depends on your company page. If your company page is just used for hiring, it might not be a lot of people that you want to talk to, but there's some use cases for retargeting based off the company page. And you can get a pretty good audience there. Conversions API. So if you have conversions set up, you can retarget based off of those conversions. That you're typically not going to have a lot of the big enough audience, because at the end of the day, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but there is a minimum audience size on LinkedIn, which is 300 to run an ad or to run a campaign, or it just won't run. So whatever the retargeting is, which you typically want to add on job titles and some other filters, maybe even company sizes, it still has to hit that 300 minimum audience size. But you can also retarget based off of LinkedIn events, single image. So any of your ads running, if someone clicked on it, you can actually retarget based off of those ads, LinkedIn ads, I mean. Website, this is going to be the big one. So website visitors, you can retarget website visitors. Ideally, you have like an all website visitors retargeting pool, then maybe more like a bottom of funnel type of retargeting pool of demo, pricing page, maybe even some product pages, like certain things, free trial pages. Conversation, so that's retargeting based off of conversation ads. So if someone clicks a button click on that message ad, if someone opens, you can actually retarget based off of that. Document, so if someone again clicks and downloads and things like that off of that ad format. Lead gen form, so if you're using the lead gen forms native within LinkedIn, you can actually retarget based off of if someone opens it, or you can target, which more on the exclusion side, you can actually create an audience based off of people that submitted it. You can exclude those and then actually retarget based off of just opens. So it's another way to kind of get in front of people that, took a small little action, but, maybe they just weren't ready. And then video. This is actually a very cool one. I think you do this on other platforms too. So, well, I know you can, but think about this. I mean, you can run a video ad, say it's like a minute, 2-minute video. You can retarget people based off of 90%, 97% viewed of that ad. So someone that's actually watched your video, product video, service video, 97% of the way, really great retargeting pool. I know there's a lot here, but in terms of like places to start, is typically going to be all website visitors. So it's going to be a bigger retargeting pool, but it's a great place to start. Usually like 30, 90 days at least. Bottom of the funnel kind of website visitors, pricing, contact us, those type of pages. Last 30 days, even 90 days. Image ad clicks, video views. Again, that 97% of video viewed I mentioned. You can also do 50%, 75%, 25%. So it kind of depends on, how many people are watching those videos to get that. And then company page, I mentioned, there is some use cases there. So now you got all the targeting going, right? And we got the ad format, we got all the objectives. Now we're going to the bidding strategies here. So the bidding strategy will ultimately depend on what format or objective you chose. Some objectives have different optimization goals than others. You have, reach. So that's basically how many trying to maximize your budget towards reach of the accounts that you're targeting or the people you're targeting. Impressions. So that's CPM bidding. You can usually do like a manual bid on like, oh, okay, I want $60 cost per 1,000 impressions, or $100 cost per impressions, things like that. Cost per click, very similar. Cost per view. So on the video side, the maximum delivery. Maximum delivery is essentially telling LinkedIn to get as much of what you're telling it to get. So let's just say it's landing page clicks. Get as much of those as possible. Sounds awesome, right? Not true. I've tested this a lot. A lot of people have, and there's some use cases for it. Don't get me wrong. But LinkedIn ends up just spending all your money, not getting the most results. It's just true. Or it makes it really high, cost per clicks. So I would stay away from that at the start. I just would. And go more on the manual bidding or even like cost cap. Again, there's use cases for it, but typically not a good place. When you're doing the bidding, you'll see a screen like this, right? And so it'll give you a recommended bidding based off of what other advertisers are doing. So this one, obviously, it's a range. It's a big range, $22 to $60 essentially. When you're starting off, I would start even lower than this, what it says here. So even like in this example, I would probably start at 17, like I have here, just to gauge it. This is just, again, it's just a recommendation. It's based off of tons of different advertisers. Usually people aren't advertising the same, well, maybe advertising the same people, but it's just a broad range here. I would start under it. And then depending on how much you're spending, making sure you're getting from the right people, you can just see in the demographic reports, then you can increase it. But if you just start at the middle, you're just gonna be wasting money for the most part. Again, this kind of depends on who you're targeting, all that, but you will see this, and that's a good way to start your bid, is just under that a little bit. And then we have the bidding. You're going to the ad creative. Tons of different options here, like a lot. But I usually look at it in two different buckets: remarketing and prospecting. I mentioned the remarketing kind of bucket there, and then prospecting is more of the colder audiences. You'll see here, there's actually a lot of overlap with the kind of concepts here. That's because I don't think people actually buy in a funnel as much as you think. I think remarketing definitely is going to have higher conversion rates and all those things. But I think for the most part, people don't really go in and out of kind of whatever funnel, the MOFU, TOFU, BOFU type of funnels. But I think, there's definitely some different concepts here that I'll take you through here. So, on the remarketing side, also in the prospecting, social proof. I've actually tested this a lot. Social proof is tried and true. I mean, it's word of mouth. It's the oldest marketing in the book. whenever you can use social proof, you should. Remarketing is a good place to have sales call to actions. Again, this is where you're going to have a warmer audience. I think it's a great place to have that sales call to action. I actually don't mind having a prospecting sales call to action because it all depends on timing. Why you? So why are you different? Your unique point of view. Authority. So how do you build up that authority? This is a great place to use kind of the G2 ratings, or, I'm not the biggest fan of Gartner, but, things like that, where you're showing the authority. Maybe it's like, content you have that's showing your authority, or again, back to social proof. I think that's even just the best. And I have thought leader ads here. This is basically the organic posts. So if someone on your team and your company is actually usually the CEO or the head of something is posting organically, and it has some good engagement, has some good, good content, it's a good use case to actually boost that with LinkedIn ads, and get in front of their marketing pool and the prospecting pool. They usually have really good click-through rates. It's organic, so it doesn't look like an ad. So, there's definitely some great benefits from that. And some examples here. Again, I mentioned social proof. I think social proof is the best. It just is. People buy from people. People buy because they see reviews. They always check in the reviews. Social proof rules. It just does. So I think these are the 3 great ads here I see on the social proof side and the case study side. This one from Notion, great little testimonial here. I like that they highlight this part here. And they even show that they're getting rid of all these kind of tools. Then they obviously have the person and then who the company is. I think that's just great because it's a great way to show it, sticks out in the feed, and obviously the highlighting of here with the testimonial and the social proof. Another one here, not to boost it, but Marketer Hire. This is a great ad. I love that has all the logos up here, but also just the, talking about how many companies have matched here. I think this is a great ad. It has a little, just sticks out in the feed with the logos and the text in the middle there. And then this one by Metadata, I'm a big fan of because it has the person, people. It just, I actually know Andrew Harder. When I saw that in the ad, I was like, oh, hey, I know that guy. Like, that stuff does work when you're using social proof. Even the tagline here, we increased pipeline. So what they did, the time frame in 3 months, and by how much. These are all great little parts in a testimonial that work really well. And then obviously have the logo and their title. Some other ads I really like here. This one's kind of like a us versus them type of B2C ad that I've seen work a lot in other companies or in B2B now. Just having those stats really stick out. It's a great way to just show, why InstaWork in this example versus the other guys. You can call out the actual competitors if you want, but this is a great way to just be more non-discreet about it. This is a great way. So Apple Note screenshot. These, again, from B2C, I love these kind of ads, very low lift as well, but just shows off, why Marketer Hire here. Great headline, got the call to action down here, and then, 4 bullet points of why. So it's a really, really good ad here. Another one here by Hockey Stack, just speaks, as a marketer, and this just speaks to why I care, and like the buyer journey here. These really speak to their actual prospects here in this this ad. And like I mentioned, on the prospecting side, so Sandra, to your question, I like all of them, to be honest. I mean, they're just a testimonial video, as long as it is it's not the classic just talking head boring one that seems like that you're forcing someone to do it. I think all of those are great. And the reason I say all of them are great, and the testimonials, the quotes, blurbs, the logo farm, I think they're all great because I think all your prospects, everyone you're trying to talk to is different. And so some people might be attracted to the logo farm. Some people might be attracted to the video. I don't watch a lot of testimonial videos, but I look at the image ads. I think everyone looks at things different. So I think having all of those is actually the best way when it comes to social proof. Into the prospecting, a couple of examples here. I mentioned thought leader ads, so I just put a quick example here. This is just one of mine, but the thought leader ads, they come from the person rather than the company, which is why it doesn't look like an ad. And if it has great engagement, has great comments, it's great in the feed because it doesn't come off as an ad, and people are just, oh, what's going on here? This is great engagement. Let me just check it out. Thought ads can work very, very well. Here's another one. Building that authority. I mentioned the G2. I like this little graph here. They're actually calling out their competitors. I like that in some use cases here. I think it's just a great ad just because it shows that authority, and actually it's just showing why they're better than the other ones. And it's just a great ad from that standpoint. Then this is more of a back to that kind of us versus them ad. This is a veterinary software. So the dog obviously makes sense in that industry. But also just having 3 bullet points of, okay, or no, not us versus them. This is a before and after, again, from B2C. Love the before and after, because here's what it's like working with these vet before and after. Those things really do stick out in the feed and just give you a great way to tell a story on how your product or your service will impact their life or impact their work life. A couple other ones. Love this kind of just showing the product here. I think these are actually very important. Everyone thinks, sometimes people don't think you need to. I think showing the product is very important because it just gives you a look and feel of what you can expect with the product. And then some content here by Cognism. I think content is very important. And content and education is very important in the prospecting side of things. And then for optimization, there's a lot of way to optimize, but there's 2, at the end of the day, what matters is close one, right? That's what kind of matters, but you're going to have to get to that point. Leading indicators are big ones here. So things like dwell time. So there's a column called dwell time, which is essentially, it's a newer column. It's how long someone's stayed on your ad. So ideally, this is not perfect. Ideally, if people are staying on that, it'll tell you down to the millisecond. People are staying on that ad longer, especially if it's an image. It means people are actually consuming it and actually seeing it. Click-through rates, that's a good one. Those aren't perfect. Typically, click-through rates on LinkedIn are pretty low, but it's a good indicator if you're comparing other ads to others. Cost per lead, obviously, a leading indicator, and then especially more on the ABM side, if you have like a specific account list, the campaign and ad frequency, so how many times you're getting your ads in front of the people at those accounts. It's a great way to measure, the leading indicator there. And again, lagging indicators, what actually matters is how are we going to, is the qualified leads, MQLs, SQLs, opportunities. Because one thing I've learned over the years is your lowest CPL, your cost per lead, is usually your highest CAC, and vice versa. So a lot of people make a mistake in the sense of looking at their cost per lead. Oh, let's pause it because it's high. It's not always true. It doesn't really matter. What actually matters is customer acquisition costs. And then on the day-to-day optimization, there is one thing that I love about LinkedIn is this something called demographic report. So you can select a campaign and you can click the demographic report on the LinkedIn Campaign Manager on the top right, and you can actually see the job titles, the companies, the industries, the company sizes that your ads are getting in front of. And so this is huge for adding exclusions and directional targeting. So you can actually see the exact job titles, let's just say in the last 30 days, last 7 days that you're getting in front of. And if account executive is not the one you want to talk to, you're going to want to exclude that. But it's going to show you all the not all, but I think it's like the top 25 titles. And that's a great way to make exclusions or make sure you're on the right track with your targeting. Same with companies. You can actually see the exact companies that you're getting in front of, and then even the amount of impressions and clicks. Making sure those companies are the right type of companies you want to talk to is huge. But also, sometimes what you'll find is if you're targeting a huge bucket of companies, so maybe it's like 51 to 10,000 plus employees, you might find that your impressions are getting skewed towards a Salesforce or Verkada in this example. And so you might want to actually create another campaign and kind of split it up. So the rest of the companies they want to target that are lower lower company level or employee size can actually get some impressions and not waste your budget just on the top, 10,000 plus employee companies. And then on ad performance, so on the ad level, this is ad level. I have these blocked out. I just can't show the ads. What you want to look at is, again, things I mentioned, average dwell time. And I think someone mentioned, where's the dwell time? Dwell time, you might have to add a customized column. But if you add a custom column in the column section there, type in average, and you start to see, you'll be able to see dwell time. And you can actually check it and then add it to one of your custom column as a custom column. But this is at the ad level here, where you can see kind of the click-through rate, dwell time, average frequency. One thing in the frequency, ad fatigue is real. So when you're looking at the ad level, what I like to do is look for a 2 to 3 ad frequency before pausing an ad. Obviously, unless it's really underperforming others, but past that 3 frequency, unless it's doing really, really well, you might start to see ad fatigue. So you want to pause it and add a new one. And that could just be as simple as, changing the background in an ad. It's just, you don't want to show the same ad to everyone tons and tons of times. It's going to hurt your conversion rates and things like that. Then obviously look at, the conversion rates, cost per conversion based off of the ad as well as a way to optimize it. And I know I went over a little bit before Q&A, but I know we have some questions here. Scott, should I just go into those or?
Yeah, that sounds great. You can skip through these slides to answer some of the pre-submitted questions, and then we have a bunch in the chat too. So we'll try to answer as many as we can.
Okay. Does the chat gets like, does it save like a transcript of it? So in case I can't get through all of them, I can try to answer them some way, somehow.
Yep.
Follow up or something. Okay. First one here. How do you know when to kill a new target marketing test? What volume and other indicators should be looking at for to make the decision to kill it, continue, or grow the LinkedIn ads budget? This one's interesting because it kind of depends on a number of things, but one thing I would look at is your cost pers. So whether you're optimizing, you want to look at like, cost per lead for a leading indicator, or maybe it's cost per SQL opportunity, even customer acquisition cost. If the campaign or ad is, 2 to 3x higher than that in terms of I would just cut that. I mean, that once you start to see that really get out of hand, that's where you want to cut it. But again, it kind of depends because it could change over time. But also in terms of volume, you want to look at, it'll depend on your budget and frequency. But again, looking at like that engagement, click-through rate, the dwell time as mentioned, the video, if it's videos, video view percentage, those things are going to help you understand if you're getting enough volume. It's in terms of like a time frame. This could be 1 week. This could be a month. It really just depends on your budget. But I would look at your cost pers at first, just to get it like an average, to see if that is a good way to cut it or not. Because if it's much higher, then you're just want to cut it anyway. The minimum ad spend per month when just starting LinkedIn ads with the lead generation goals in mind. You can, I would, ideally you can back it up into what your goals and average cost per click or cost per lead are. So let's just say you have an average cost per lead of like $200. And if your goal is, 20 leads a month, you can kind of do that math, right? And obviously when I know you're starting off with LinkedIn ads, so maybe looking at other channels that you're running in as a kind of baseline and kind of doing an average, maybe overestimating a little bit. But I typically recommend 5K a month. Like just say you don't even have those. I typically recommend 5K a month as a place to start. You can do lower, but you just have to, your expectations on it are going to have to be a little bit different. But I think at 5K, you get a lot of room to test and kind of see what's working and what's not. You can also spread that across, and it's just going to take more time. That's the only thing. Ideal LinkedIn ad size. The truth is, the audience is the audience. The way I look at it is, so as a note, LinkedIn will always have this little red thing that says, "Oh, your audience size should be 50,000 people." I don't think that is true. That's wrong. Actually, it's just a blanket statement from them. Your LinkedIn ads audience size should be your audience size. So ideally, you've created what you could do is look at, okay, who are my customers and what traits do they have, industries, company size, like what makes the best fit customer, and do like some quick kind of total addressable market mapping, and just say, all right, how many other companies are like our best fit customers? And that's the way to actually gather your audience size. Because if it's, let's just say it's 10,000 accounts, you put that into LinkedIn, you have the job titles, and then boom, you have your actual audience size. That's the problem with this kind of question, right? Like it really depends on how many companies you can work with. That said, there is a minimum audience size of 300 to run a LinkedIn ad. Or just going to pause, or it's just not going to run at all. But at the very, very least, I'd probably say 400, just because, one exclusion can put you under it. But just understand it's not going to get you a lot, because 400 is just not a lot of people in an audience. So ideally it's more than that, but the very, very minimum audience size I would say is like 400, even though it's technically 300. Biggest tricks to making the LinkedIn algorithm work in your favor. So, and what content format performs best? So I mentioned in the slides, image ads typically do the best in terms of LinkedIn ads. Video works great too. It's just not a lot of people have a lot of good video content, and so that's the only issue. But image ads typically work best. I don't think there's a good way to gain the LinkedIn algorithm. If there was, it's technically going to be like click-through rate. So what your click-through rate is. So typically if you have good click-through rate, you're going to get lower costs in terms of cost per clicks and CPMs. But does that really matter? I don't think it does. What really matters is the business results. So I don't think there's really a good way to game it outside of, just making sure it's good content for your buyers. I know we're at time, so I'm not sure if we can keep going. Probably not.
Yeah, I think we'll probably have to take a lot of these questions offline and respond to people, but we do have them noted. Thanks for all the engagement, but yeah, just want to be respectful of everyone's time. So I'm thinking we can wrap it up here. Tim, really appreciate you being here, and thanks for sharing all your expertise. You can follow Tim on LinkedIn. I just shared the link in the chat. But yeah, really appreciate everyone joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. This was awesome.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you.
Yep. See ya.